How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I don't think you get a better setup than what's happening right now with Bitcoin. What I'm seeing is extremely bullish, and I think people will be kicking themselves when they look back and say, Why didn't I buy more? Why didn't I long this market? Because we're set up so well. I want to walk you through that. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. Underneath the video, there's a link to Margex. I think this is a great time to be long the market because of the technical and fundamental setup that we have right now. I've said this several times, but technically we have 3 higher lows and 3 higher highs. We're bouncing off previous resistance, you can see here, and you can also see this trend line that we're bouncing off of as well. Of course, we can always fall down. I'm not sitting here saying we're up only, right? There's going to be volatility. But as you can see here, we're bouncing off this downtrend line, and we're moving into a time that will be very exciting for a handful of different reasons. One, the elections are 10 days away, 11 days away. There's not much time left, and the market hates uncertainty. It hates it. So right now, there's a lot of uncertainty about the future. A lot of investors are just sitting there waiting to deploy capital because they don't know how the election's going to go. They don't want to deploy capital, have one candidate win when they were expecting the other, and then for them to lose out, right? For them to have a drop in the stock market or in their individual stock or crypto, for example. So a lot of people are just waiting on the sidelines right now. But you can still see the technical setup is beautiful. Now, something that I found kind of interesting right now, Trump and Harris are deadlocked apparently at 48% among likely voters in the Time Siena poll released Friday. Of course, there's some margin of error. Some other polls show that Harris has dropped from her lead of 49 to 46% over Trump, while some surveys actually show Trump with a narrow advantage, and 6 others found Harris leading. So there's still this kind of uncertainty where it's a 50-50 shot. Almost, it seems like, who's going to become the president. Now, on Margex, you can actually click on U.S. elections in the upper right-hand corner, and it takes you over to this page where you can vote for who you think is going to become the next president. You can vote with USDT or USDC. Now, what I find interesting about this is, the polls show that Trump and Harris are about equal, but the betting markets are so in favor of Trump, and it's been this way for a couple weeks, I believe, maybe even longer. This was just released on Margex recently, so it shows the divergence once it went live. But on other betting markets, you can see it a couple weeks ago. Now, this introduces kind of an interesting opportunity. If you really do think there's about a 50-50 shot, then it might make sense, even if you want Trump to become president, for example, to go bet on Harris, because your upside is about 200%, and the polls are saying that it's about a 50-50 shot. Now, maybe you're sitting there thinking, no, if the polls are saying that, then Trump's probably going to win, because a lot of people don't like to say that they're going to vote for Trump or whatever reasoning. There's still a 45% upside if Trump does become president, for example. So this is kind of interesting. If you want to try this out, there's a link to this on Margex. Of course, make sure you read all the terms and conditions, how it works, the event rules and all that kind of thing. But they are going to do this more often in the future. So kind of an interesting thing that you can do, hedging your bets maybe. But you could also short the market if you think one presidential candidate is going to send the market down, for example. But I'm quite bullish on the setup. Like I said, technically it looks really good. From a fundamental standpoint, with the elections done in 11 days, there's going to be less uncertainty. I think either way, people will allocate capital to the market and feel a little bit more comfortable doing that after the election and in the months after the election. Now, what does that mean? Well, we've seen just massive inflows to BlackRock and other ETFs too, but BlackRock's purchased 33,000 Bitcoin so far this month. Look at this. Look at these inflows. 9 of the last 10 days have been massive, multi-$100 million inflow days. A lot of them into BlackRock too. We have Microsoft talking about buying Bitcoin, or talking about buying Bitcoin. We have the FASB accounting rules change, which makes it just a lot easier for companies to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet. We have the possibility of banks being able to custody Bitcoin for large companies, which a lot of these large institutions and large companies want their bank to be able to hold it for them because they don't want to go through the process themselves. So they will have access to Bitcoin a lot easier. And we have liquidity going up, M2 money supply going up. We have rates coming down. I don't know what else you could be wanting, right? Like if, let's say, let's play devil's advocate. Some people would say, well, I would like to see us break out above this line, above new all-time highs. I would have liked us to be at $80,000 by now. When you look at a lot of charts based on the market cycles in the past, we are about at the ROI that we should be. We're at the same bottom to peak that we were at the last two cycles. We're actually smack dab in the middle of those. About 3 or 3.5 or 4, something like that. And the fact is there is volatility. I'd rather have us here than, up in the $90,000 range at this point, because the more viciously we move up, the quicker we seem to come down. There have been a lot of things that have been working in the background that don't really make splashy headlines that are fairly important or very important for the future of Bitcoin, like the bill yesterday by Pennsylvania that gave people the right to self-custody Bitcoin, that protects people's rights. How cool is that? That there are states that are worried about that. So close to the election, they're still focusing on Bitcoiners' rights. I think that shows really how far we've come. And the fact is, at 67,000, 68,000, with a lot of uncertainty right now, and the M2 money supply just starting to flip without even the U.S. starting to run off, with them still running off their balance sheet, the Fed still running off their balance sheet, and not quantitative easing, but still quantitative tightening. A lot of uncertainty around future rate cuts as well. The markets think that the Fed is lying about how much they're going to cut because right now mortgage rates haven't actually come down that much. With all that happening, with all this uncertainty and disbelief, I think eventually, if things continue playing out well, which I think they have been, the economy looks strong, I think we're going to explode upwards. And this is a good time, in my opinion, to be placing long positions. That's why I've been doing that. I have, 6 or 7 long positions open here, and only one's in the red. It's on Caspa. All the other ones on Bitcoin are in the green. Other altcoins are doing well too. Like investors are feeling it right now. Of course, we can always fall down, but right now the markets look primed. I mean, you can look at just about any chart and they look bullish. So I think this is going to be a very good setup. The key is just waiting. People don't like to hear that things are looking better because they think, well, we're still not above prior all-time highs. Keep in mind, even since we bounced just a few days ago, we are 2/3 of the way back up to this recent high. At 68,000, we went down to 65,000. We're 2/3 of the way back up. We could just break out above this and then be right back at 70,000. Break this high back here. We could easily break a couple other highs as shorts get liquidated or have to cover. And yeah, we could be at new all-time highs very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if we had to wait until the election just to get more clarity. But I also wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of whale games being played to shake people out before that. So whatever you do, just be careful. But I do think we're looking at a very good setup for Bitcoin. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. I really do appreciate you watching. Check out Margex underneath the video in case you want to bet on the U.S. elections. Again, that's a little bit more of a bet than something like long Bitcoin, but you can do either of those on Margex now. Check that out. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next one.